Awesome, cool. Thank you everyone again for joining us for another edition of our office hours. So today we have Pawan, Rishabh, Luke, Confidence, and Akshay with us. So Pawan was on the A-Force team last week, and he's going to tell us a bit about some of the challenges users are facing on Discord, and then we're just going to go over some of the issues we fixed. There's a pretty big release that came out last week, so we're just going to talk about some of the issues that cropped up, some of the things we fixed, as well as what's going to come up in next week or so. Cool. So, Pawan, you were manning Discord last week. Why don't you just take us through some of the top issues that you see that users have been reporting? What are the things we need to keep our eyes out on? Yeah, what is the community sort of saying?
Okay, let me start. So, uh, one of the user was familiar with CSS, so he wanted a way to customize buttons or widget anything according to the CSS. So he wanted a way to pass a class to widgets so that he can style. So now so he also needed a place where he could write the custom CSS. It can be both on widget level and both and also on the application level. So
Right.
so basically he needed two things. One is application level styling, and one is widget level styling. By widget level styling, he needed a way to pass on the uh, CSS class to widget so that he can style it.
Got
And uh, and
And how are we sort of thinking about something like this? Like probably like a section in like the editor or the property pane where users can kind of specify a class, maybe just override the CSS of that class. I would think something like that would probably work.
yes, we are like also thinking to redesign property pane where we have a style tab in the property pane where we have all the visual properties of the widget in that tab, and also a way to write CSS or pass a custom CSS to the widget. So we are thinking on that. So we are tagging on these two issues, and also we found some bugs regarding a date picker. There was some issue with a date picker formatting, and
Yeah, I think that was more of a validation issue. I think our
uh,
date picker right now isn't validating ISO strings. It's sort of only parsing them. And because of that, there was some data information that was actually missed. But fortunately, I mean, if you do specify it as an ISO string, so it should work out fine. But yeah, I think there should definitely be a validation check over here for ISO strings.
okay. And thirdly, there was a issue with a chart widget where we were not properly sending the data to the chart library we are using. So for that, the workaround was to check for the loading state of the data. So we have already fixed the issue, but for the workaround, the solution was is to just check the uh, loading state of the data and pass a empty array instead of passing undefined.
Right. Got it.
Uh, and there was a UX issue with the API editor where the our evaluated power was hindering the input box, so the user was not able to see the query he was typing. So we are also tracking this.
Got it. Yeah, I think this actually happened as a side effect of another issue that we ended up fixing, which was we sort of reduced the size of the overall Entity Explorer. And I think that kind of trickled back and caused this entire overlap to happen.
So this is also similar to the uh, a property pane where we will be pushing a update where we will able to move the property pane uh, anywhere on the screen so that it doesn't hinder the workflow. And when a user come back or refreshes the page, the property pane will get open on the same spot.
Right. Got it. Got it. Awesome. Cool. Thanks a lot for that, Pavan. That sort of gives us a pretty good idea. I think largely it's, we have to sort of give a lot more styling options for our widgets. There are still couple of properties missing in existing widgets, as well as a lot more stability required in our widget system. And these are things that we need to like sort of actively improve. So that's great feedback from the community. That's I think we definitely need to double down on improving our widgets overall. Before we sort of move on into some of the things that we're going to be building over the next couple of weeks, or some of the issues we close for the community, Luke, do you have any sort of questions or anything that we can actually help you with before we go there?
Not really. I was interested in hearing about the Google Sheet integration, because I mean, now I'm using it in a weird way, and I think that's going to be better. So that's what I was mostly interested in.
Got it. So the Google Sheet integration is still sort of under development. I think it's sort of not ready to be demoed yet. But I could actually show you how you can very easily integrate with Google Sheets today. I think I probably have a sample app here. Give me a second.
Just to add to what Nikhil says, the Google Sheets integration should be out in a week or two. And Luke, I'll DM you a video where we demoed it in a preview state this weekend. You can check it out and you can share feedback. But yeah, Nikhil will demo how you can currently use Google Sheet with what we have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently using it already. I mean, I just did something on my own with just requesting the URL, and then I get a CSV and I use the info out of it. So I mean, it's not a need, just like curiosity. So I mean, it's perfectly fine. It's not urgent also. So
Awesome. So are you using our new OAuth feature to query the Google Sheets?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome, great. Yeah, so then you're sort of using it the right way. In the future, we are basically trying to build a more tighter integration with Google Sheets. Do you have any feedback on what exactly you'd expect that to look like, and what you'd expect the integration to do?
I mean, not really. For me, it's just like ideally it would be to use a Google Sheet exactly as a database, where each tab is a table, and where you can also write. That would be, and where like the authentication is made. Because I mean, what I'm doing is I'm just putting the docs in public access and just requesting the public URL of it. So it's not like super safe or anything. And also, of course I don't do any writing. It's just like basically I use it because in my app I will have lots of select elements, so like with the lists, and I want to be able to modify the lists, the content of this list very easily. So I'll just have a document that I can modify, and I just read this document to populate my list. So it's a very basic use. But yeah.
Got it. So actually, you don't need to make your sheets public anymore. If you use our OAuth integration, you can actually directly query for the sheet data. So maybe I can just give me 1 second. I actually need to find my credentials for this. Let me share my screen as well. Yeah, so once you have sort of like, your API over here, what you can do is you can sort of save it as a data source. And this data source can take in an authentication. So you can use OAuth 2 over here. And using your authorization code, what you can do is sort of specify the access token, client ID, client secret, scope, all of this information, right? And this information will allow you to kind of authenticate with your Google Sheet, so that you don't have to do, all of this. I mean, you don't have to like sort of make your sheet public. So to give you an example of this, let me see. I think my Calendly app should probably work. Great. Yeah. So here I'm actually listing data from Google Calendar. So yeah, you can just, let's say, copy all of this information. You can add like the scope of the sheets over here. Yeah, so you can just copy one of these scopes. You can add like an authorization URL. Here. Yeah, and basically, like once you just sort of fill this out, you can just hit save and authorize. Let me just check out the Yeah, so this will just allow you to like sort of authenticate with whichever account you want. So let's say I'm just authenticating the Appsmith account. So then this will ask you, do you want to sort of give access to your Google Sheets? Once you allow this, you'll be taken back.
This should have, and then every user will get that, or only you will get that once?
Sorry?
Every user will get this auth, or
no, you just have to access it once. Once you authorize
okay, yeah.
it once, as for your user, that's pretty much it. Then you can just specify the sheet ID over here. You won't need any of this information anymore. And once you run this, this should sort of. So I'm just using a random sheet ID, so this won't.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, if you just hit the sheet ID now, then this will basically authenticate with your sheet.
And one question, because for now here you have in the params, you have the name of the tab of the sheet probably.
Yeah.
Exactly. In the params you have it. And is there a way to make that dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically just based on whether Google gives you that or not. I think there must be a way to sort of say.
No, I think no. If you can come back to where you were. Yeah, on the params tab. Ah, no, okay.
You're talking
okay,
about
no, then it's good. Okay, no, let's forget what I said. It's good.
Yeah. So this is essentially just the sheet ID, but if you want, you can also like fetch the sheet separately and then just put that in a drop down and then pass the drop down value.
Okay, perfect. No, that's good. That's great.
Yeah. So what we'll be doing in the future as a more tighter integration is allowing you to actually select which sheet directly from this UI itself, as well as selecting which range of cells you want to fetch and allowing you to update this range of cells right from here as well.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Any other questions you had, Luke, before we just move on to some of the demos?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey guys, good morning. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
We're good. We're good.
Good,
so
good.
we're just demoing the Google Sheets. So it's an
Yeah.
OAuth integration. So just is there anything specific you wanted to see today, or any questions?
Well, I'm gutted. I just got on and I missed it. I was really keen to see this from the beginning.
Okay.
But I see you're recording this. Will you be able to make this?
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll share a recording with you. I'll just send it to you.
Oh, great. I really wanted to see this. This is a really fantastic.
Yeah, I can just take you through it as well, Chris. It's fairly simple and straightforward. Like for example, so this is my Calendly app. I recently wrote about this. It basically clones Calendly, so it gives you a simple way to block some time with me without having to pay for Calendly.
Nice.
So yeah, this is reading from my Google Calendar. What I did was you just add your Google Calendar API over here, and you click Save on Data Source. And this sort of gives you a simple form where you can select your authorization authentication type. So here, most OAuth 2 types are sort of, I'm using OAuth 2, here's the authentication type. So most OAuth 2 types need like an authorization code. So I just went ahead and configured the access token URL, the client ID. So you can get this from like your Google Console account.
Right.
As well as for Zoom, you can just go ahead and create a Zoom app. You can get it from your Zoom console as well. And then just select the scopes that you actually want to grant, what permissions you want to grant to this OAuth token.
Yep.
And yeah, just configure the authorization URL as well as the prompt and the access types. So once you do that, you just need to save and authorize this particular application. What it does is it will essentially redirect you to your account. You can select which account you want to actually authenticate. It'll ask you to grant the scopes that you've requested for. So if it's spreadsheet will open up here. If it's calendars, because I'm authenticating calendars is asking me over here. So I'm going to go ahead and allow that. And yeah, once that's done, the system basically gets the refresh token, and it's storing that on the back end so that it's able to authenticate as your user now. And now going ahead, you don't need to worry about like a sort of the like passing the bearer or the authorization header. That's automatically handled for you. So every time you make an API call, that data is just sent in the back end, and we take care of the authentication. So all OAuth just sort of works out of the box now.
And then I think the question was asked before, but just that this is authorized for this user, and it's sort of locked for that user.
Yeah.
What happens if you want to have different users logging into their own Google account, like their own, each person kind of logs in as themselves?
Yeah. So what we're actually going to do is we're working on that right now, where if you execute the action, then it will basically, if we don't have your sort of authentication token on file, then we'll go ahead and ask you to sort of, authenticate at that point in time, and we'll store the auth token against your user. So we don't currently have that feature, but that's something that we'll
okay. Okay, great. No, that's great. No, that's really interesting. Yep. Okay, brilliant. Now this is really going to open it up to integration. So that's really good.
Yeah, well, like a lot of very interesting use cases actually come out from this. So we are also very excited about this feature.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, I'll have to have a dig into this later today.
Chris, so this is what we have right now on the app. I'm also DMing you a short video of what you can hope to see in a couple of weeks. It's a full-fledged Sheets integration we're building. So if you can just take a look at it and share your feedback, we can integrate things that you might need into our roadmap also.
Sure.
Just meet you on Zoom right now.
Awesome, cool. So then I guess let's head on over to some of the new things that we fixed and some of the new things that are coming up. Cool. So this is a really neat feature. Chris, Luke, anybody see anything different about our editor? Something that you think is new over here? Can you spot the new feature here? Any guesses, guys?
Oh, I missed the first bit. Sorry.
Now, something like this is a new feature we're launching soon. Can you guess from my screen what's new in the editor? Is there like some new feature that you see on the screen today?
Is there a quick search and navigation? Was that there?
That's right. So introduce keyboard search and navigation across the application, which means you don't actually have to go to the Entity Explorer anymore. You can just type like page 2 and quickly jump there. You can also, let's say, if you have various entities, like let's say a container and a date picker, and let's also create a API, so just type users. And so, switching between these is quite tough. It was, always a bit of a hassle to go back to Entity Explorer. So you can actually just say date picker 1, click on that, and directly land over here. So there's like a fully keyboard way to navigate throughout the application now, which is like pretty cool. Makes things like really, really fast, as well as you can also search through our documentation right from here. So if, let's say, you're looking at displaying data in like a table, or just displaying data in general, you can actually read our documentation right from the application. You don't have to go to the docs page anymore. A lot of the documentation, a lot of the information is just going to be accessible right from here. So if you're having questions about, let's say, Mongo, you can actually check out the query syntax right from here itself.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is like that, an industry trend with that kind of like visual code, where there's the search at the top can do everything, can access everything, and yeah, nice.
Yeah, the idea was that let's give developers a way to sort of navigate through the application using the keyboard without having to keep switching to a visual way of navigation, as well as just being able to search through our documentation very quickly, so that if we have any questions, most of it should just get resolved from the documentation side.
Great. Nice.
Yeah, so this is one feature that we're very excited about. This should be shipped in a couple of days. The next feature, so this one's
a question, Nikhil. First of all, how do you survive with that many tabs open? I mean, I struggle.
Yeah,
I know I have a problem, but that's
yeah. So that's why I use the Google's the tab grouping feature. It makes things a little bit easier on me.
yeah. What is that? What do you use to?
So Google Chrome has this tab grouping feature in beta.
Oh, interesting. I haven't seen that. Okay.
Yeah, so it's sort of available like only if you enable it through the Google console. But yeah, it's actually there. It's a really neat hidden feature.
Okay. It doesn't solve your issue, but it kind of makes you live with it a bit better.
Yeah, a little bit better. Awesome. Yeah, cool. So the other really exciting feature that I wanted to demo today, well, this is a little smaller, so I'm not going to expect anyone to catch this, but we now have the option to actually build UI on different device sizes. So if you want to build UI for tablets, you can go and do that. If you want to do it for mobile devices, you can do that as well. As well as if you want completely fluid UI that's just going to sort of scale across the board, you can do that as well. So what this means is you can actually go ahead and resize the UI, and the entire sort of canvas will respond to it. We can also go ahead and check out the deployed version. I think this is a better idea. Yeah. So over here, yeah, whether you're sort of moving from, let's say, a Pixel to, let's say, a laptop, the UI largely remains consistent. You're able to sort of scale it across. I think I haven't deployed the fully fluid version. Yeah, so the UI will sort of just scale across, and this will sort of allow you to create. This is not like the first step towards creating responsive UI, where the UI is actually just changing based on the width of the device. The next step that we think will really make sense in the future is allowing people to sort of define various breakpoints in the UI, so that as the entire canvas sort of expands or contracts, the elements within it are able to reflow and move below or above, based on the amount of width that's sort of available to them.
Is there like in the editor you can choose either fluid or desktop, or so if you were to choose fluid over desktop, what's the compromise that you're having? Is there a compromise? Are you sacrificing something?
Yeah, so if you choose desktop, essentially it will only scale within the range of desktop, which is like between 13 inches to like 15-inch screens. It will scale the UI between these two. But then if you see that on a mobile device, what will happen is there'll end up being a scroll bar. Or if you see it on, let's say, a really large monitor, what will happen is it will only take up the maximum desktop size and have like a more empty space around it. It's not going to sort of just scale extremely large or extremely small. Whereas fluid will just basically scale to any type of dimension that you want.
Okay, cool. Great. And when do you thinking of? Is that imminently released, or what are you?
Yeah, like probably in like the next day or so.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, this is going out in a day or two.
Yeah, no, I really like how you guys are doing it progressively. Like, it's not like, let's wait to the big bang and everything is shiny, and but I mean, you're sort of releasing this in bits. So that's really nice.
Yeah, we're trying to do as small releases as possible, just because we know that the feedback we get is just going to help us get to the ideal state much faster.
Wow, this is agile in its truest form. Brilliant. Great.
Awesome. And so yeah, so the last feature that I have is One that's actually been very requested for a long time now. So if you sort of deploy this application, one of the pain points we've seen is that there's always this tab hierarchy. And sometimes when you really just want a login screen or like an internal page that you don't want to show inside the navigation menu, you really can't do that in Appsmith. Unfortunately, today you can. So you can just go ahead and mark this as like a hidden page. And once you go ahead and deploy this, what happens is this page actually gets removed from the tab hierarchy. So you can't actually see that now. And now what you can do is say, write some simple logic such as, let's say on click, let's navigate to the dashboard page. I'll also just remove the disable for now. So this will actually allows you to write logic that, hey, if the login is successful, only then allow the user to sort of move forward to like an internal page. This gives us the ability to create multiple internal pages that are outside the navigation hierarchy, and also control which pages the users end up seeing. So also, if you're sort of developing a few pages that aren't ready to be published to users, you can just go ahead and mark them as hidden so that they don't show up until they're actually ready. So yeah, this is a pretty cool new feature that actually allows us to create a lot more intricate workflows with internal pages.
So just on that, so when you hide a page, it doesn't show the other pages, is that right? And it also, you can't see it when you're in the other pages. So it's hidden from the menu, the horizontal top menu, but it's also, you don't see the horizontal menu when it's hidden.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. I mean, I guess this is for like, I guess custom authentication systems when you don't want to use, I guess, the Appsmith default one.
Yeah. This is a custom authentication systems, as well as like if you're just developing something and you have a few pages that aren't ready to be shown, you just want to go ahead and hide them.
Oh, I certainly have that. So that one's a good one. Very interesting. I have a comment about something else. So, but I can wait till you're finished with this feature, or I can just mention it.
Awesome. Yeah. No, this feature is sort of done. So yeah.
Okay. It was really good to see your other. If you just press login and go to your dashboard, that sort of triggered a thought that I had yesterday. So my users are asking for a dashboard yesterday, and I said, yeah, I'm sure that's definitely possible. But I guess the one question that I had with like a dashboard is how is it possible to keep it refreshed, which doesn't require them necessarily to, press manually a refresh button or something. And I was just sort of wondering whether you had any thoughts on, how might, there be like, like a 5-minute automatic update, or, it can sort of pull the latest every 5 minutes, so they can kind of leave this screen up and just get kind of the latest data, or they can glance at it anyway. What were your thoughts on that?
So yeah, I think like the ideal way is to sort of use something like Firebase or real-time integration, DB integration. But I think a quick workaround for today, we could possibly just add, I think we had removed the timeout because there was a problem with it, but possibly just add like a step timeout to maybe a particular property, and just poll the page. Yeah. Poll the data.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe just a polling period. You could like, yeah, that's a very simple one. Yeah, that would be, yeah. So I guess the Firebase one is more that kind of push thing. So it's kind of like, but I think certainly there could be like a polling thing now, and that's probably a little bit more generic anyway, because that'll probably work with any data source.
Yeah, that would pretty much work with any data source.
So that would be a nice little thing to make these kind of dashboards a little bit more alive.
Yeah, that's a fantastic feature request actually, Chris. Yeah, we'll take that down. I think and adding it also should be relatively simple. So definitely just go ahead and think.
Yeah, I guess it's just like a timer in the client, which just like a bit of JavaScript, which is counting down and then just re-executes the query again. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting one actually, isn't it? I'm sort of wondering, where else you might use that in other widgets, like a bit of a timer.
Yeah, I think like sort of keeping just any kind of data alive, making it as real time as possible is a big value add for any dashboard. And like you said, like the great part about this is that it's sort of it's Firebase agnostic. It doesn't have to be a real time database. Even
Yes.
Mongo or Postgres, pretty much everything can sort of just come alive with this.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, so I'm kind of like, not wanting to pull Appsmith in like 1,000 different directions at once, but definitely, they came back saying, oh, we're really, really loving it. I mean, it's made a huge impact now. As I've explained before that, our previous sort of like internal operations tool was an aging Angular JS app that no one wanted to touch. And so this has now become the replacement, and now they're just like wanting more. They're just like, please, okay, that was great, now give us this and give us this. And it's sort of like, stop.
Oh, that's fantastic. This is music to our ears.
Yeah. So they are so the dashboard was one they thought, oh, we really need, because my situation is rolling out solar microgrids in Kenya. So what we're looking for is just that live, which sites are up and which sites are down, and like, which ones do they need to attend to as an emergency.
Yeah.
That's kind of, super critical. Keeping electricity to rural villages is like so important. So yeah, so that's what we're looking for next.
Awesome. Yeah, like I mean that makes sense. Like as always, please just raise a feature request. Just let us know whatever you kind of need, and yeah, we'll try and get it done as. But yeah, this solution like seems pretty simple. I think to poll something that should be a really simple solution.
Yeah, I think that actually will, it's kind of small, but it could be like a bit of a game changer, that you can kind of just leave this screen up, and these charts will, every 5 minutes just like refresh themselves automatically. Would be quite nice.
Yeah.
Good. Fantastic. I'm glad I joined the call today.
Awesome. Yeah, we're really glad to have you. Great. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to demo. Luke, Chris, I mean, flows to you. Like if you have any specific requests, any kind of help you need, please let us know.
I do have just one small question that I already asked, but just an ETA question about the fields, the new fields of the users, which I've already, I mean, I've seen the specification and this is perfect, exactly what I need. Just the question of if you already know when it's coming out.
Yeah, it's already underway. I'm hoping it's going to be this week. If not this week, it'll be like maybe by latest by Monday, Tuesday next week.
Okay,
but I'm hoping
absolutely perfect.
This week,
yeah. Can you explain that one to me? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So Luke has this feature request where he wants to sort of access the user data that of people who are authenticated on Appsmith. So today you can access only the email, but we don't. But a lot of emails don't actually have names associated with them, and we don't really give you a way to edit the names and stuff like that. So we're basically going ahead and adding a profile settings section inside the application so that users can go ahead and update their names, their profile pictures, and even reset their password.
Okay, nice. And then you can access that from within.
You can access that, yeah.
Is there something around the app can, like, at the moment we have like a store value. Obviously that's just like into the session, but it would be nice if the app could actually store custom attributes against the user. So not just a fetch, but also able to sort of add, information to the user as well. Could be interesting. I can't think of a definite use case now, but yeah, just sort of wondering whether it's like a bi-directional.
Yeah, no, this is definitely like a really cool use case. Like, we would even sort of extend this and go as far as to say that why can't we like sort of ship with our own database so that, you can add any kind of metadata for any type of data that you have in your backend. Because a lot of times you probably don't want to go ahead and create like, a complicated design on your current prod DB. You might just want to have like a slim layer of metadata in our database. So why can't we just let users sort of create something like that? So yeah, we've actually been thinking about it. The problem comes where we need to sort of manage the infrastructure for this database, because it's it's going to be at an org level for each new organization that's created. So we need to sort of figure that part out.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Sort of creating like a whole data store for users to be able to access and play with without needing to connect their own Postgres. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting place to get to.
So are you saying like that's something like which is in the MongoDB? Is that are you talking about that?
It could either be in the MongoDB or we might just ship with a separate service. We haven't taken a call honestly on that yet. But the idea is that long term we should be able to like kind of provide a separate data store so that users can just use that to build their applications if they don't have one yet.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Good.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, if there's nothing else, then thanks a lot, guys, for joining us today. This was a really awesome office hours session. I'm glad you liked all the new features that are coming up. As always, if there are any new features that you'd like, please just drop us a note on Discord or raise a GitHub issue. Yeah, and we'll get to it as soon as possible.
But to be fair, though, you're not short on feature requests so far, right?
Not in the least.
But yeah, definitely. Good. Thanks, guys. Thanks very much. Really good, as always.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day. Ciao.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.